Today on History Duck, we'll be talking about everything the Catholic Church never wanted you to know about the Albigensians. From the horrific oppression they faced, to the large magnitude of sieges and the inhumanity that unraveled during that time. Prelude to Darkness: Rise of the Cathars. In the quietude of southern France, amidst rolling hills and peaceful villages, a spiritual movement emerged in the 12th century that would challenge the authoritative might of the Catholic Church, the Cathars. Distinct from the Orthodox Christian beliefs, Catharism embraced asceticism, simplicity, and rejected the wealthiness and luxury that often defined the corridors of religious power. The Cathars, also known as Albigensians, sought a direct connection with the divine, discarding the sacraments and rituals propagated by the Catholic Church. The emergence of Catharism presented a formidable challenge to the religious orthodoxy of the time. The movement gained popularity among the populace, especially in the Languedoc region, drawing followers from various social structures. They explicitly rejected what they thought were the materialistic trappings of the church and thought of them as disillusioned by the grandeur, wealth, and luxury of the religious institutions. Cathar ideology propagated a dualistic worldview, where the material world was seen as inherently corrupt, a stark contrast to the divine purity they ascribed to the spiritual realm. The Catholic Church, threatened by this, viewed the Cathars as a direct challenge to its authority. The seeds of a tragic conflict were sown, as the Church, wielding both spiritual and temporal power, prepared to quash this perceived threat to its doctrinal hegemony. As the Cathar movement spread, so did the tension between the established Church and the so-called dissenters. The ideological chasm widened, setting the stage for a dark chapter in history: the Albigensian Crusade. The seeds of religious conflict had taken root, and the shadows of southern France harbored the whispers of a storm. The papal call to arms and massacre at Béziers. The catalyst for the horror was the papal call to arms in 1209, summoning crusaders to eradicate the perceived threat. This call was a proclamation from the Vatican, a call that would plunge the region into religious brutality. In 1209, Pope Innocent III, with extreme devotion, issued the papal call to arms, branding the Cathars as heretics, deserving of annihilation. Believe me, the irony of Pope Innocent calling for such widespread violence and destruction is not lost on me. The divine sanction for violence against those deemed deviant echoed through the halls of the church, and crusaders, fueled by a toxic blend of religious extremism and fervent obedience, embarked on a mission that would stain history's fabric. And the Cathars, whose only crime was deviating from the sanctioned doctrines, found themselves marked for destruction. Massacre and brutality at Béziers. Amidst the alleys and squares of Béziers, a city now synonymous with tragedy, the very fabric of humanity unraveled. The Crusaders, under the command of Amalric, set their sights on those of diverse beliefs, and the events that unfolded would be remembered for centuries to come. The ominous descent upon Béziers commenced after the Crusaders captured the small village of Servien. On the 21st of July, 1209, their siege engines encircled the city, demanding both Catholics and Cathars to listen to their calls. The city, defiant in the face of impending doom, refused to comply. A desperate sortie and attempt to break free led to a tragic turn of events, meaning that the inhabitants of Béziers, in their attempt to break free, went outside the city through its gates, but were ultimately forced to retreat back inside due to the overwhelming force of the Crusaders. And the gates, once a barrier against external forces, became a gateway to annihilation. Under the scorching sun, the city fell, succumbing to a violence so profound that it defied comprehension. The entire population was slaughtered, and the city burned to the ground. An eyewitness account, a harrowing testament to the brutality unleashed, reported that when Amalric was asked how to distinguish Cathars from Catholics, his chilling response echoed through the ages: "Kill them all! God will know his own!" While historical skepticism lingers about the exact words, the essence capture the spirit of the Crusaders. Strayer, a historian, reflects that Amalric's purported statement encapsulates the grim reality faced by the nearly 20,000 inhabitants of Béziers. In a letter to the Pope, Amalric and Milo claim the slaughter of almost 20,000 souls, and without any remorse. Just imagine. Strayer, though cautious about the precision of this estimate, highlights the lack of guilt and remorse in the words. Not a shred of condolence was extended for the clergy massacred before their own altar. The city, once full with life and diversity, was razed to the ground, its very existence erased in merciless violence. News of the Béziers disaster spread like wildfire, sending shockwaves through neighboring settlements. The Crusaders, extremely confident by their win, advanced towards Carcassonne, leaving in their wake a trail of destruction and a chilling foreshadowing of the horrors yet to unfold. Fall of Carcassonne, displacement and humiliation. The relentless tide of the Albigensian crusade surged forward, reaching the doors of Carcassonne, a city heavily populated by the Cathars. Carcassonne, recognized as a stronghold of Catharism, obviously stood as the next major target in the Crusaders' campaign against this perceived disobedience. Though fortified, the city's vulnerability lay exposed, made worse by an influx of refugees seeking sanctuary within its walls. The Crusaders, unfazed by the 45 miles that separated them from Béziers, advanced with ruthless determination, reaching Carcassonne's gates on the 1st of August, 1209. The siege unfolded with a swiftness that mirrored the tragic events in Béziers. By the 7th of August, the Crusaders, masters of siege warfare, cut off the city's lifeline, its water supply. Deprived of this vital resource, Carcassonne faced an agonizing surrender. Raymond Roger, Viscount of the city, seeking a glimmer of mercy through negotiations, found himself betrayed under the disguise of truce, taken captive by the very force he hoped to reason with. Carcassonne, stripped of its defenses and with its leaders in chains, bowed to the inevitable. On the 15th of August, surrendered not to killings, but to the forceful expulsion of its inhabitants. The people, spared from immediate death, were condemned to the heart-wrenching fate of displacement. Accounts differ on the extent of their plight. Peter of Val-de-Cernay, a monk with first-hand experience, also described them as being stripped naked, while Guillaume de Puylaurens, a contemporary chronicler, offered a more tempered portrayal, noting they were clad in their shifts and breeches. Regardless, the expulsion marked an extremely dark chapter in the Crusades' progression, leaving Carcassonne, like Béziers before it, scarred by the ruthless advance of the papal forces. The veil of Inquisition further descends. As the crusade progressed, it cast a looming shadow over the region. The Catholic Church, horrifically unsatisfied with just mere massacres, instituted the Inquisition. Its relentless pursuit sought out Cathars and sympathizers, subjecting them to tortures unimaginable. The once vibrant lands of southern France turned into a theater of unspeakable suffering. Anguish and pain traveled next to battle centered around Lastour and the adjacent castle of Cabaret, which was attacked in the bitter cold of December 1209, where Pierre Roger de Cabaret defended the assault on the castle that bore his name. However, the relentless march of Simon de Montfort, a figure appointed by the church infused with extreme determination, pressed on. In the heat of June, the formidable city of Minerve found itself trapped in the iron grip of the crusade, prompting Simon to unleash a merciless bombardment. The city, deprived of its lifeblood as the main water well crumbled, was on the brink of surrender. In late July, the parched inhabitants, both Cathar and Catholic, succumbed to the Crusaders' might. The heart-wrenching decision weighed heavily on Simon: treat the occupants leniently or urge harsh retribution against the Cathars. The Crusaders granted freedom to the soldiers and Catholics within Minerve. Non-perfect Cathars found a pardon, and even the perfects were offered a chance to convert from their beliefs. Yet only 3 women yielded, while a staggering 140 steadfastly embraced their disturbing fate, being excruciatingly burned at stake. Some women even entered the flames voluntarily, not awaiting their execution or worse, physical assault. It was either beheading, flames, or worse. There was never going to be an easy way out for the poor souls. In the chilling April of 1211, the specter of siege descended upon Lavore, a town also at the mercy of de Montfort. However, the path to Lavore proved treacherous. Troops led by Raymond Roger, Count of Foix, and his son, Roger Bernard, ambushed the Crusaders with fierce determination. In the following clash, a gruesome toll unfolded, resulting in the bloody death of all but one out of the 6,000 Crusaders, a stark testament to the unyielding resistance that blossomed amidst the ambush. Then, the castle of Emery de Montreal faced a similar fate in May, its walls witnessing the brutal takeover. Emery and his senior knight's lifeless bodies were dangled like non-human dolls from the hangman's noose, and everyone bore witness to the burning pyres that consumed the several hundred Cathars. In the relentless rhythm of the Crusaders' advance, Cassay too fell. Toulouse and the Battle of Muret. In the desperate plea for reprieve, the Cathars turned to Peter II of Aragon, seeking sanctuary from the Crusaders. Peter II, a monarch crowned in triumph over the Moors, wielded his influence to petition Innocent III for a cessation of the bloodshed. His endeavors, coupled with a delegation sent to Rome, sought to invoke the Pope's intervention. Innocent, harboring aspirations for a new crusade in the Middle East, grappled with the decision to halt the Albigensian crusade. As the heart-wrenching saga unfolded, Innocent, torn between pressure from Simon's delegation and Peter's pleas, wrote to Arnaud Omari, papal legate and newly appointed Bishop of Narbonne, as well as to Montfort. He condemned Simon for alleged attacks on fellow Christians, demanding reappointment for seized lands, and a council was summoned to hear Peter's plea. In a twist of fate, the Council of Lavore witnessed Peter's plea to restore Raymond's lands, but the response was a resounding rejection. The lands remained beyond the reach of absolution. Peter, still determined for justice, rejected the council's decree, his concern for Simon's unchecked power propelling him to the aid of Toulouse. The alliance between the Crown of Aragon, led by Peter II, and the County of Toulouse emerged. The pivotal Battle of Muret on the 12th of September 1213 became a crucible of sorrow. Peter II, leading the coalition, faced Simon's forces in a desperate bid to save Toulouse. Outnumbered and outflanked, Peter II fell, succumbing to the relentless tide of the Crusaders. The coalition forces, reeling from the loss, retreated, allowing Simon to tighten his grip on the northern part of Toulouse. The final act, Treaty of Paris. As the shadows of the Albigensian Crusade continued and lengthened, a new chapter unfolded in November 1225 with the creation of the Council of Bourges. Aimed at addressing the persistent Cathar beliefs, the council cast a damning verdict on Raymond VII, mirroring the excommunication his father faced before him. A radical decree emerged: a tax for the annual incomes of churchmen, the Albigensian tenth, to fuel the relentless crusade. So first, lives were brutally taken in the crusade, and then the same people were asked to pay additional money to their oppressors, and the only few people in power willing to help were getting exiled. The mantle of the crusade now rested on the shoulders of Louis VIII, who in January 1226 pledged himself to the cause. By May, his colossal army assembled in Bourges, setting the stage for an unprecedented force against the Cathars. June saw the march commence, reclaiming Béziers, Carcassonne, Beaucaire, and Marseille without resistance. In the aftermath, Louis VIII passed away in November, and the reins of the crusade passed to the young King Louis IX. But amidst the relentless turmoil, a glimmer of resolution emerged. Queen Blanche extended an offer to Raymond VIII, crafting a treaty that recognized him as the ruler of Toulouse in exchange for his commitment to eradicating the Cathars. The term dictated the return of all church property, the surrender of castles, and the destruction of Toulouse's defenses. The pact further solidified the marriage union of Raymond's daughter Joan with Louis's brother, Alphonse of Poitiers. The Treaty of Paris, inked on the 12th of April 1229 at Meaux near Paris, marked the formal end of the Albigensian Crusade. In the delicate balance of diplomacy, Raymond conceded more than half his lands to the French crown, retaining only a small hold for his lifetime. The remainder would be given to Alphonse, and in the absence of heirs, reclaimed by the French crown. The once mighty fortifications, particularly those of Toulouse, were dismantled, a symbolic gesture of submission. The Cathars, bereft of political and military protection, faced the unyielding might of the Crusaders, now in allegiance to the French crown. The Treaty of Paris not only concluded a harrowing chapter, but also empowered the Inquisition with unchecked authority in the pursuit and persecution of heretics, casting a lingering shadow over the annals of history. As we close this chapter, let the echoes of the people of all these fallen states resonate. The Albigensian Crusade, with its massacres and inquisitions, unveils a darker side of history, challenging us to confront the shadows that linger beneath the pages. The number of victims becomes more than a statistic. It becomes a haunting reminder of humanity's capacity for cruelty. Tell us in the comments about what other stories you would like to know about, and don't forget to like and subscribe. Cheers!